Okay, welcome everybody to Here and Now. This is Brother Steve Struckle and Dr. Ibrahim, covering the North American continent except for Mexico. Hope everybody's doing well. A lot to talk about this week. A lot to talk about, actually. So we're glad that you are with us. We invite you to like and share this video so we can use it as a tool for organizing, mobilizing, and activating people around the countries and around the world. Welcome, Abraham.
Right on. Yeah, here we are, and this is here now for sure. And we've got a lot to take up. I mean, it's happening everywhere, isn't it?
Everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole world is mobilized now, either for war or for anti-war.
Well, we had a very interesting development, and I just checked, um, and the news media isn't covering what I've covered with you. But I want our listeners to viewers and listeners to know that we uncovered a right wing distribution of ammunition at
Oh,
the state of in the state of Virginia.
yeah.
Perhaps at the state capitol, perhaps not, but it was definitely of sight to see. Fully armed men, all of them white. But that has to be a bad thing, but just it just was interesting that they all were white and appeared to be some kind of militia. And those militias usually aren't connected with the working class or people who are oppressed fighting for freedom. This is a MAGA. So MAGA hands out 30 rounds of AR-15 magazines in front of the state capitol in Virginia. Now,
Hmm.
there's no news reports of this, so it's kind of interesting how it flew under the radar, either intentionally or unintentionally. But it's a very interesting kind of video to see. The people handing out ammunition, and they're all armed. If you look at what they all are walking up with rifles
Hmm.
across their chests.
I'll play that
Every
for you
one of them
now.
has a rifle. Now, here's a picture of this little boy getting one. Oh my God. Little Junior got some too, okay? Just handing them out, handing out ammunition. Wow. If that were a bunch of black people or a trade union
Appreciate you very much.
or Latin people, oh my gosh. The police would be there breaking that up. The FBI will be there shutting it down. I tell you
Huh.
right now, there would have been
Was that
bloodshed.
was that a kid that went through there?
Yeah, a little boy could be no more than 10 years old. Here, we'll see
Yeah.
it again. Here we go. Man and a woman get some, and they
He's got his
believe in
face
equality of
covered
women,
there.
don't they?
They're all,
Yeah,
they're
they
all
all are
really
armed.
there.
They
Look at
all
that.
have rifles right here. Now the boy didn't have a gun. Well,
Uh-huh.
they're passing
Yeah.
out the bullets, man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Wow, they look like cartoon characters.
Well, they are.
Incredible.
They are. They are clowns, but they're armed clowns. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna mess with them.
Yeah. Really. And that must be a flag of some sort of local militia or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe perhaps the Virginia state flag. I don't know.
Yeah. It
Yeah, it
could be.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Weird. Very weird. Okay.
Hmm.
Let's get away from that.
Yeah, let's get away from this right now. But it was quite a scene.
Yeah.
I mean, the right. I mean, gun laws in the United States historically have been focused on disarming black people. If you ever go to a gun store and you're a black person, you get the weirdest looks. Like, what do you want with a gun? No, seriously.
What do you think? What do you think I want? I want a gun.
I mean, you really got to be careful. I know, seriously, if you're a black person, you go to a gun store in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Maybe in some states it's not like that, but you got to watch your step. What do you want with a gun?
Yeah,
So,
walking into a crowd of white guys with guns, to start off with, like is pretty difficult. Oh my.
so I thought that was an interesting statement. An interesting scene, actually. I mean, 'cause I tell you, if you tried it in Cal, maybe in Virginia, what their laws are so set up, because some states' laws are requiring gun ownership are different than others. Some states you can buy a machine gun. I mean, just depends on the state. That's there are federal regulations on gun ownership and how you have to register them. But to handle ammunition and everybody has a gun already,
Hmm.
mm, it's kind of unusual.
Hmm.
Mm.
I have some
So
other video here to show of demonstration in Toronto that looks pretty impressive. It's somewhere here. Ah, here it is. They are. They've got one of these giant Palestine flags. We had one here in Montreal, but it was put into given to some activist center, and they lost it, or they threw it away. They thought it was not going to be useful or something.
how
But
do
the
you
struggle
lose a flag like
continues.
that?
Yeah. Oh, okay, this is just a photo, but this is it. Thousands. And then of course thousands were marching in Montreal yesterday as well, and all over the world for sure. Um,
Unfortunately, I guess they must have been marching on Friday in the United States because nobody was marching yesterday in the United States that I
huh,
know of. I was in a meeting and we actually were checking. The rallies were in on Friday and I don't know where they were. This anti-war movement in the United States right now it exists. Answer has rallies and UNAC has rallies, but it still hasn't caught fire yet.
uh, huh, huh.
Yeah,
Well,
good
everything
you had the
else is
rallies in
catching
Canada.
fire. All the U.S. military bases are on fire. Even the U.S. embassy in first it was Bahrain, and now it's
Oh my God, they are on fire. Oh
another
God.
embassy is gone. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, what is with Hamas asking Iran not to attack Arab countries? What is with that? Have they have they are they swallowing the red, white, and blue pill of America? I mean, Israel committed, I mean, grave crimes against your organization. I don't know. Or maybe that's a misstatement. Maybe that's not a true statement. Because
Yeah.
we have to remember now that they're going to put out a lot of statements in the media that are attributable to nobody in order to divide people. So I have to retract my criticism. I have to make sure that's a legitimate statement from
Uh,
Hamas.
I think I remember now that it was in Baghdad, Iraq, that the U.S. embassy got hit, in addition to Bahrain. Okay. And
And in Saudi Arabia, the CIA headquarters was attacked.
wow, big stuff. Oh, that's the, that's the, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
uh,
it was a missile. It was
uh-huh.
last week, week and a half ago,
Uh-huh.
and they're all upset because they claim all the anti-missile defense has gone to Israel.
Uh-huh. But Israel is not doing any better. I mean, even Hezbollah's rockets are going all over, the place there, from the northern colonies in the Galilee area, just south of the Lebanese border. There's about 80,000 colonists, settlers there that have moved out. and don't seem to be, you know, willing to come back. And then
Oh
the
well. Oh
Israel's,
well.
yeah,
Oh well.
and then
Well.
Israel's military is advancing into Lebanon, and it's not getting them much
Mm.
of a result. They've ordered 800,000 people to leave the southern Lebanon, like 10 kilometers into Lebanon, which is like about 10% of Lebanon, that they've just ordered to be evacuated. Otherwise, you'd get killed. So, that's happening too. So, and then they want Lebanon to recognize, Israel as a state, for um, for mutual recognition. They want Lebanon to recognize Israel, and they want Lebanon to kill off all the Hezbollah fighters, and they probably want Lebanon to kill off all the Palestinian refugees as well, like happened in Sabra Shatila in 1982. But I don't think Lebanon is going to do that. And Hezbollah is still stronger than the Lebanese army, and they're shooting
Isn't
missiles.
that something? Isn't that something?
Incredible. This is
That's it. A state army is weaker than a. I mean,
yeah.
that's astounding. That's an astounding statement.
And same in Iraq. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is stronger than the military in Iraq, because the military in Iraq was destroyed by the United States. So
Okay. Okay.
there it
Well,
is,
I
as
I
well.
have to say that the IRGC and their allies have put up one hell of a fight.
Yeah.
They've done things that some people only dream of. Okay, I mean they have. I mean they've taken some hits. They lost a lot of people. They lost some people,
Yeah.
but their military strategy has put the United States on its butt many times, and the Arab countries they they don't know what to do. The monarchies don't know what to do. They'll come out with a statement and this kind of thing, but they're clearly vassals of the U.S. and their military strategy is extremely weak. And the IRGC has shown themselves to be real fighters.
Yeah.
We haven't seen this. I don't think we've seen this since the Vietnam War,
Uh-huh.
where you have an opposition to U.S. aggression effectively countering the U.S.
Yeah.
Now, if they land troops, we'll see how that's going to be handled. But so far, the IRGC has shown itself to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I read reports, that the U.S. is sending like either 2,000 or 5,500 Marines into the area to prepare for a landing. But like the foreign minister of Iran said, like we're waiting for you. So I don't think they can get very far with 5,500 Marines, especially if the Marines are not interested in doing so. I mean, the Marines, they could revolt, say, what? You want to send us, to a suicide mission, for no good reason? They're not going to do that, you know.
Well, okay.
I don't think, and then, but it depends, like the Christian generals, who are, trying to indoctrinate, the troops into a Armageddon, however you pronounce that Christian word, a war of what? Extermination, a war of what are they supposed to accomplish? Like I suppose, like if they think they're going to bring back Jesus Christ, even though his body is buried in the Sepulchre Church in Jerusalem there, and is nowhere else but in that coffin there. If they think they're going to bring back Jesus Christ by annihilating all of the what Muslims and oh yeah, Jewish people too have to go. And then, everybody's going to be a Christian, and then Jesus Christ is supposed to come back. Is that the scenario that they're into with their AK-47s and all that? Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, the Nazis, tried that before, and they got pretty far. But this time, I don't think they're going to get anywhere. And the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. The only oil tankers getting through are the oil tankers on the way to China. And then the United States asked China to help them set up a military corridor to enable all of the thousand ships that are waiting in the Persian Gulf there, waiting to get out and cannot. Like the United States is asking China to come and help them liberate all of those oil tankers that are going to, well, 7%, to the United States, India, elsewhere, when the oil tankers from China are getting through anyway. So the United States has no hope. Then there's the other strait, which is controlled by Ansar Allah, in Yemen. They could close down the strait to the Red Sea there and to the Suez Canal. Anytime now, they could just shut it down. And then both straits would be shut down. And that would be I think it's what is called a double whammy in American speak. And that would certainly make the American Senate think again. And the Dow Jones is on a constant decline. I should show you that. I have it, I put it up on my Facebook page there. A number of things there that I've shared that I could show you. Let's see now. Uh, I don't know where. I think it might be here. Oh, here's the fascists again.
It's just such an incredible scene.
Yeah,
You change the color of skin, I'm telling you, people just see how this country is, man. They have the National Guard be called out. Get them guns.
yeah. Uh, Here I am. And set this up for you to see. Uh, okay. Now I've got it set up. I can share it now with you. Oh, I'm a bit wasted today. There it is. Okay, that's my Facebook scene. Yeah, the masthead here, shows this coin from 1927 under the British mandate when the British were trying to satisfy both sides at the same time. So they put the Hebrew Palestine. See, this is Hebrew for Palestine. It's not the name of Israel. No, this is Palestine in Hebrew. That's the way it should be. And here's the Arabic Palestine, 1927. So now we go down here. Yeah, this is MAGA again. Here's the demonstration in Toronto. Now, this guy used to be the Nazi commander in that American television series around around Vietnam time. And so it was like a parallel. And the guy who played the Nazi commander was a Jewish guy, actually, Klemperer. And in his contract, he stipulated that the Nazi commander had to be always depicted in a losing mode, could never be allowed to be sort of, treated as a dignified Nazi in any way whatsoever.
Well, that's very true. If you think about Hogan's Heroes,
Yeah, Hogan's Heroes.
the Nazi, Colonel Klink, he was always kind of a buffoon.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
intentional. Yeah, that was
and and Sergeant Schultz, he was just there to get paid some money. He wasn't getting involved in nothing.
Yeah, he couldn't care less.
He
Yeah.
he could care less. It was just a job for him. He didn't care.
Uh,
I would love to know more about the politics of that show because it was an interesting show. Everything about it, a
oh yeah.
show about POWs supporting an underground situation, supporting the underground resistance against the Nazis in a concentration camp. It sounds totally like bizarre.
Yeah.
That's bizarre if you think about it. The whole setting is bizarre. And
Yeah.
Colonel Clint was just he 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 he'd always have some jackass Nazis coming in and do an inspection, but it was a joke. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Huh? Interesting. You said that it was a joke. You're right. It was a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a ridicule. Ridicule is the most powerful weapon because there's no
Huh.
response. Like it exposes the essential character of what's going on, and without all the facade and propaganda. And it was a very popular series, wasn't it? I remember at the
Yeah,
time.
it was on for quite a few years actually. It must be 3 or 4 6 years. It was on a little while. Look at
Yeah, it
there.
was so funny that everybody watched it, whether or not they,
Everybody watched it. It was ridiculous. It was so funny. And,
yeah,
we think about a TV show. It was funny. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But back in that period of U.S. imperialism, there were quite a few comedies on. Yeah, comedy was comedy now is unusual on American TV. I think.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Anyway, so
Okay,
this is
so
where the air tankers supposedly were refueling, and they what happened? Did they get shot down or what?
yeah, well, I saw there was two of them that were hit, and
Yeah.
one of them was trying to land, like it was on fire and it was trying to land, and it never made it. It just, exploded, on landing, and all six crew members, died.
Hmm.
And they thought that they were invulnerable because they were flying at 39,000, feet. And they thought that there was no missile, from Iran that could reach, that high. But they were wrong. And Iran did take them out, And then these tankers, like without the tankers, the airplanes can get nowhere, right?
Yeah, they have to be fueled. They have to be fueled. Right. Yes. They have to be
Yeah.
refueled.
So,
Yeah.
like the strategic, hit there. Oh, look at this now. This is, remember Bondi when she was testifying and she would refuse to answer a really sort of, sensitive question. She just replied saying, "Who cares? Dow Jones has hit 50,000, nothing else matters." Well, here's Dow Jones. Down with Dow Jones. Dow Jones is going down, and it's been going down, like for 2 weeks now. And 46,000 is not 50,000. It's been going down from 50,000. The senator should have asked Bondi, like when she said that the Dow Jones had hit 50,000, the senator should have asked her, do you guarantee that it's never going to go down? No. Well, no way. This is the American economy. And of course, the media is not talking about this. This is just too much to take. There's no explanation, no excuse that they can give, for this, like because they're supposed to be fighting for, America
What
first.
are they fighting for again? Well, what are they fighting for again? I'm sorry, I actually forgot.
Yeah, I think they forgot too.
Are they fighting for the uranium? Are they fighting for the oil? Are they fighting for nuclear power? Are they fighting because the Iranians cut women in half and eat their bodies? I mean, it's just kind of the lies that are spread about Iran by the United States is a bit much, you know. This is
Yeah.
too much, man. I mean, they eat they eat their people in half. And then did Israel bomb the march, the Quds Day march? Someone bombed it, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a bomb, but it wasn't, into the middle of the Quds Day March. It was off to the side. And one woman actually got killed. but they wouldn't dare, like bomb the crowd itself because they've suffered enough, after bombing the girls' school. And now I thought it was Israel that had done it, because I couldn't conceive the United States would be so, like
Who?
so
Bomb the
stupid.
school?
Yeah, 165 schoolgirls,
Abraham, lest we forget who's the only country in the world to have used
Um,
a nuclear weapon.
I and
So
never apologized for it either. They never took it back,
or gave reparations or nothing. So the
Uh,
point is, to me, there's nothing beyond the pale in the American arsenal of savagery.
yeah,
I'm sorry, if you can show me something which should make me change my view, I'll listen because I will listen. But I don't take it out. I don't. If they kill Fred Hampton in his bed and said he had a gun and he didn't, I mean, we can just go through the atrocities. If they went to Venezuela and grabbed Maduro in his bed and his wife, and now they won't let the government of Venezuela pay for his defense,
mm,
what else won't they do?
yeah,
And so
yeah,
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I appreciate that ethical view you have about what should be beyond the pale. I think that's a good view to have.
yeah,
Unfortunately, the United States fails the test.
yeah.
Historically, historically.
Uh,
That's all. That's all.
so and and this video is, I think, an Iran attack on the Zionist naval base off of Haifa, the city of Haifa, which got hit, and they're very precise, like they hit just the military sort of targets
Oh
here.
yeah, yeah, oh
Hit
yeah,
the
yeah, oh
civilian
yeah,
target.
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the Israel, has not lost. There's not been a lot of Israelis who have been hit in this war. They're not the target. It's the military that's the target there,
Yeah.
evidently.
Well, there was I saw Larry was not Larry Johnson. This is a gentleman who was Lawrence Wilkerson and who's Larry. Lawrence Wilkerson. And he had a short on YouTube and he was saying there was a situation, I think last week, where Iran did hit a civilian area because it was on top of a military area. So
Uh,
let's put aside Israel's claim they're using human shields. You no good Arabs. You're using human shields. Okay, well you're using the same thing too, bastard liars. And it was a big, really important intelligence center. It was on top of a hotel, beyond, but it was underneath the hotel. The
mhm.
hotel they had to go.
Yeah, and
So in
maybe
that instance, but in that instance, you'll see some civilians were killed. But Larry Wilkerson was saying the reason why Israel put the intelligence center under a hotel, under an apartment building, because they know Iran doesn't attack civilians. This is what he said. They know
uh,
right. They know it doesn't attack civilians. Therefore, we can put this here, and they're not going to attack us. Well, somebody in the IRGC or the president's office said, you know what? This time it's okay.
uh, there was one
Yeah.
hit that disturbed me in Beit Shemesh. There's an Orthodox village that was hit on top of a synagogue, which had a shelter underneath it, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of civilians who were killed in that hit. I don't know why that was targeted, but that's the only time that I think a
We've
civilian
seen that. Yeah.
was
Yeah.
targeted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's tragic. And in a perfect war, it shouldn't happen under any circumstances
yeah,
on either side.
yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Here's a video interview with Avi Lewis. I was at a meeting yesterday, for his candidature. He's seeking to become the leader of the Social Democratic Party here in Canada, called the New
Mm-hmm.
Democratic Party. And he gave a magnificent speech, and I should bring you to his attention if the world is impressed by Carney because he's not pro-American or thought that people thought that he was uh, before he was not pro-American when Canada was being threatened by Trump. But now, this liberal Prime Minister of Canada has come to support the U.S. war on Iran. So here's Avi Lewis, who's, takes it all the way. Like this guy is campaigning against fascism, against the war there, and for the liberation of the Palestinians. And he's Jewish. He's an anti-Zionist Jewish uh, from a guy from a family that is part of the Jewish Labor Bund. Now, I'm from the Jewish Socialist Bund, because I'm from the more revolutionary variety of the Jewish Bund, which was the Antifa movement, of Jewish people in Russia, Poland, etc., in the East there. And he's from the more assimilated, Canadian Jewish Labor Bund, which supported the Social Democratic Party from the beginning. And here he is, like in English and French, denouncing the war in Iran, denouncing the war in Palestine. And it's assumed now that he's going to be elected the leader of the NDP. And then when he comes out into the public, he's going to break through all the censorship, that never shows, like this video, of missiles landing inside of Israel. The media never shows this, and they always say that this is a war uh, of Muslims against Jewish people. This is the media line. And here's Avi Lewis, Jewish anti-Zionist, who's going to come out into the next election campaign and is going to blow all of that, propaganda away. It's magnificent. That's science stuff. Saudi Arabia are discussing to end contact with the U.S. and Israel and halt the future investment of 5.5 trillion in U.S. Oh yeah, Trump was trying to get, all the Arab aristocrats, to invest their money in the United States, because they were putting it into U.S. Treasury bonds because that was supposed to be secure. But now they've changed their minds. And Saudi Arabia is not involved here, as a partner with the U.S., is it? And Saudi Arabia is not being hit that much. It's the other places, other Gulf states that are being hit more so. So this, is another big factor, not only, like inflation because of oil price increase, but, the reversal of the investment, from the Gulf states with all their billions is going to have a severe effect upon the United States. This could bring down the United States economy, if they continue
Well,
to this war. It's incredible.
but what needs to happen though, I mean, what needs to happen in the best of all worlds is for labor and the organized labor and precarious labor to stand up against the war. And I mean, in not in the thousands, but in the millions. We need millions. So in 2 weeks, it's going to be no King's Day. I
Yeah.
think you'll see millions out there.
Uh-huh.
You'll see millions. You'll see millions in 2 weeks. You will.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, that means something really happened in between now and the rally that will diminish the numbers. But I don't think it's going to happen. We
Hmm.
need millions of people in. I mean, I appreciate what's happening in Canada. I appreciate what's happening in other parts of the world. I do. But where it needs to happen in Israel, which where it's not going to happen, according to polling, but polling can be wrong. And the United States, where it's not happening enough. I mean, it's just we got to get more people to talk about it. Remember, the United States is one of the problems with organizing any against any international adventure of the United States is racism among the U.S. population of all colors of skin.
Hmm.
Those no good Arabs, those no good Iranians, that kind of shit. Excuse my language, but that hurts. that makes it very hard. So we have to have a humanitarian view. We don't have to live like this.
Mm.
Our government does not have to be attacking Venezuela, attacking Cuba, attacking Iran. Why? Why so much war? And here you don't even have a health care plan.
Yeah.
No, you ain't got no health care plan. You get sick, you better have a job. If not, you're in bad shape. Because
Yeah.
the public program will not help you, but just so much. You're gonna
Mhm.
have dentures because it'll just have your teeth so much. You're gonna have
Yeah.
amputations and maybe no prosthetics because it doesn't cover prosthetics. I'm the same things that people can happen to them. Hopefully
Mm.
your birth will be covered in the hospital.
Mhm.
So
Well,
why do I want to have? I mean, and that's people attack that line that we don't want war because we want something for ourselves. But there's nothing wrong with system of country having what they need for their health care.
mhm.
What's wrong with that? That's you have public schools. You have public schools which they don't want to support. So why can't you have public health care? I
Yeah.
don't. It just seems like that's a given of any society, even an imperialist society. The people of the citizens of their country, whatever issues they have, with how they stand on the world,
Mm.
you gotta be able to go to the doctor, man,
Mm.
and not
Yeah.
worry about it. Not worry
Yeah.
about the bill. You know?
Even in Europe, all the European countries have free healthcare, and they
Yeah.
had
Well,
to do
that's
that
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
because,
saying.
like, they had to,
Mm-mm.
because otherwise, the people would have turned against, capitalism as a whole, if they
Right.
didn't have a right to life. So that's, done. But the United States, there's this concept of individualism that is
That's
so
it. That's
strong.
it. That's it. That's it.
And you're supposed to
That's
take
it.
care of yourself. And if you can't take
No,
care of
no,
yourself, then it's
no,
your own
no.
fault. But
We have a collect that, and you're right, it's individualism in schools, in jobs, everything. That's what undercuts it. And we gotta find a way to cut through that. If
yeah,
not, you're never gonna have health care.
yeah.
No, you're not. You're always gonna be on your own. You're always gonna be sending your boys and girls off to die. Oh, say, can you see? Oh man, shut up with that nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, and then and then the parents, I've seen parents, a mother even, say that she accepted the death of her son, because he died as a Christian warrior. Oh my, really?
No, mom. No, mom, don't accept your son's death. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand your mom. You brought your boy into the world through childbirth. I got that. Okay. You saw him in kindergarten. You saw him get up one day. He started walking. He did potty training. Now he has a haircut. He playing baseball, football. I got that. You want your son around, and you have my condolences. But no, mom, on this one, you're not right.
Yeah. She
Don't accept
sacrificed
your
her own
son's
son,
death. No,
sacrificing
I'm
her own
sorry.
son. It's incredible the mentality. And then the workers who do have a job, they have to be, like a subservient slave. Otherwise, they'd be worried about, losing their job. Everything depends upon their job.
They
They're
sure
not
do. Yeah,
free.
yeah.
They're not
That,
free at
that's
all.
that's so true.
Like they've got, a king right in their workplace there, telling them what to do and how to live, and then threatened with, well, like a slow death, if they don't have a job. So,
Yeah. So I mean, I identify with everybody's agony and pain. They would join the armed forces and they died. The cold reality is, if you're in the U.S. Armed Forces, you may die for the U.S. and they don't give a damn about you.
yeah,
You're just somebody who some rich man in the White House wearing a suit told you to go die.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, I hate to put it like that, but that's just the way it is.
And now
Okay,
it's generals who are telling the troops to go and die, for the apocalypse or
yeah.
the Armageddon. Or I can't believe that word, like I guess I have.
Armageddon. Let's say arm. Armageddon.
Oh yeah,
Arms.
Armageddon is
Armageddon, brother.
yeah, that's it. Okay, now I understand.
Armageddon. They want Armageddon.
Yeah,
But you're right. The individualism has to go. That's
yeah,
why community rallies and community meetings are, and anything where people get together to fight for social justice to a certain point is good.
Yeah. But Trump still has 40% support, and 35% of that are the Christian evangelicals who have been brainwashed all their lives. And he's holding his base of support there. I'm surprised. So how to get through and pierce into that sort of, mentality, into that, like area. Otherwise, well, I mean, there's the elections coming up in November. Okay, probably, like the MAGA movement is going to be down
Well,
at that time.
elections, man, they're trying to pass some laws to keep people from voting. See,
Oh
they've
yeah.
been doing this stuff down south for a while, and try to because they don't want black people. They manipulate the Mexicans and the Latin people. They manipulate them so some are brainwashed enough because they're politically brainwashed, not
They were
because of their ethnicity.
Trump. They voted for Trump, actually, I
Right, right,
understand.
right. So they they play with them, but with the blacks, they know the blacks are pretty solidly Democratic. That ain't going nowhere. So they're passing these laws now to make it harder for you to vote. So don't get me wrong again, but the midterm will be a place where we'll see if it did that work because
Hmm.
they're trying to make sure people can't vote. They want to get rid of mail-in ballots any way they can keep you from going to the polls. And
Uh-huh.
plus, remember too, in this country, they vote on a weekday, not a weekend. In most
Whoa.
parts of the world, they vote on a weekend. Make sure
Well,
people can vote.
here in
United,
Canada,
United States,
employers
United States. Yeah.
are legally obliged to give, a worker 4 hours to go and vote.
Man,
4 hours paid
man,
time, you know.
people don't push that, man. People don't push that 'cause they scared they might get fired. I'm just telling you the real deal, okay?
Uh,
Nobody I know in my life has ever told their boss, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna go vote. They give me time off. I
whoa.
mean, somebody does, I'm sure. I never
Uh,
met one.
uh,
I never met one. I never met
but
one person in my entire legally voting age that said, I want to go vote. I'm taking off work. Never. I'm not saying it don't happen.
mm,
But that's a right that the boss wants to control, not the worker.
mhm,
Maybe in a
mhm,
unionized job you get that. Yeah.
mm, mm.
Non-union, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
And only
I'm gonna tell
10%
you the truth.
of workers are unionized, to remind people. Hmm. My. Well, but the voters who voted, from the Mexicans who voted for Trump before, they're actually Mexicas, because they're mixed, between the indigenous and the Spanish people who came there. Um, Generally a mixed population. Surely, like with all the ICE attacks on
Yes,
the
well,
Mexican
yeah,
population.
that's changed. You're right. That's changed. But before before with when Trump was running, he was able to give him some Latin votes and a few black votes, but he was able to get some Latin votes. But
Mhm.
now they admit they're in trouble in that community. Even what's this fool, this the racist pig Johnson, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. We have some retrenchment in our Spanish speaking population, but it's okay. We're gonna come back with something.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the attacks on the Mexican immigrants, and people who have legally applied to become American citizens and are waiting for their applications to be processed, the attacks on those people who are considered to be criminals according to
yeah.
ICE, um, that's going to eat away at the base of support that Trump had
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah,
Plus,
no,
the
yeah, you're
price
right.
of gasoline has gone up by $1. So, and if that stays, like at a
Well,
higher price, surely there's going to be a lot of people, who
well,
are not going to sort of,
well, well,
welcome
man.
that.
I hope that's the case. But even the most junior of leftists don't organize around it.
Uh,
The price of gas is going up. Damn it, organize around the price hikes.
yeah,
The price you organize against it
yeah,
for to get to the political question. You
yeah.
get the political question by going in through the economic question. I've never seen a rally against high gas prices. I'm still waiting for it. I guess I'll have to call it myself.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah,
Okay? People just I don't know what is the issue. Gas prices, utility prices, food prices. You're paying for it. Person
yeah,
driving down the street, person riding the bus, and the bus riders are lucky that the bus companies can't pass it on immediately to the riders.
uh-huh,
They're
uh-huh.
lucky. Yeah. Mass transit workers are lucky because I think there's some laws involved with that, or they can't pass it on immediately, or they
Uh-huh.
can't charge them more money. There's something about buying fuel, powering utilities for public transportation. Something about the prices can't immediately be or aren't immediately passed on to the users of subways and buses. They're
Y-
not.
Generally, you still have buses there that are gas gugglers.
Most of them, well, I want to say they're diesel or they are LPG or they are electric. All of them are not electric. No, 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 no.
Oh,
They
we have
they
a lot of
usually
electric.
are.
We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
electric buses here in Montreal. We have a
Right.
lot of
No,
them.
no, no. You
They're
have them in
hybrid.
the United States, but I'm just saying. I know. I'm familiar with two major U.S. cities, and um, one city has a trolley system with electric wires above the street where they get their power that way.
Uh-huh.
But there are also buses that use either LPG or a hybrid or electric. There are electric buses, but that's not the majority. No, no,
Uh-huh.
no, it's not. No, they still use some kind of fuel. Yes,
Okay, so they're
and
dependent on the fuel. Yeah. Okay, everybody's
and
dependent on the fuel there, and you don't have much of a public transportation system, so people are dependent upon their cars to get to work, and so they're paying like $180 more a month in order to get to work,
yes,
and they're paying for it, not the employer.
at least $140 or more. Oh yeah, at least $140 more. Yeah, at
Uh,
least yeah, yeah.
hmm.
The price have gone up
Okay.
no less than 28%.
Okay, so inflation's going up there now.
Oh
Also,
hell
there's
yeah.
the inflation factor of the tariffs. The tariffs are going to cause inflation as
And
well.
they, yeah, and and I don't think they've even dealt with I don't think they've even dealt with the tariffs yet, because
Yeah.
the tariffs are ruled to be illegal, but I don't think they've
Um,
been rolled back. I don't
uh,
know. I'm not sure
well,
that's not even the news no more.
I think that they went to the Congress or Senate or something, voted on it and made it legal again after the Supreme Court said that it wasn't legal, but not because it hadn't gone through the Congress yet. So now they seem to have backtracked and they're still going ahead with the tariffs as a weapon, weaponizing tariffs. So that's going to hit as well by November. I think there's a perfect storm coming up, that's going to destroy the Republicans in the election coming up in November. That's what's, seems to be, the uh, the likely outcome of all of this. But of course, they can try to reverse it. Like eventually they're going to crack. Before the election, they're going to, pull off the invasion, stop the war on Iran, and then Trump is going to say that he's the peace candidate because he stopped the war that he started. That's how he sort of, builds his, tries to build his credibility. So maybe, they'll try to do something like that. But if they're stupid enough, they'll keep on charging ahead, you know, and uh, and ex, ex, and go for the vote suppression campaign that you were talking about in order to stop their defeat. It's either, like pulling back, which is not likely, or suppressing the vote, which is more likely. So that's what I think we can look forward to in November. Well,
Yeah, it's never going to be. It's going to be a challenging and tumultuous time.
yeah. Here's an interesting sort of feature. I never could figure out what was going on in Sudan, because there was this civil
Oh
war thing
man,
there.
I can tell you, I've been covering that war. I can
So
tell you what's going on in Sudan. Yeah.
here's this video which explains that the RSF that were fighting against the government were doing so because they were being paid by the United Arab Emirates to do
Now,
so.
this was highly debated months ago. UAE
Uh,
said, no, 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 no. Okay.
yeah.
Now the facts have come out.
Yeah, because their supply
Mhm.
lines have been cut off, and now the RSF is losing. So,
They
that pretty
need to
well
lose. And
exposes
they're,
the.
I mean, that the RSF is carried out. I'm not saying the Sudanese armed forces are not without their acts of aggression. I'm not saying they're not, but the RSF has done things. I give you an example. I covered a story within the last year of a mass suicide of women in a community who heard the RSF was coming and they just committed mass suicide as opposed to being captured by the RSF. This did
Wow.
happen. This did happen.
Huh.
RSF, the women committed mass suicide in an
Uh,
area instead of being captured by the RSF because that would have been their fate: mass rape, forced wifehood, all that kind of stuff. Yes, the
wow.
RSF, and this, and it's supposed to be based on ethnicity. Whatever it's based on, dude, you got to stop, man. That is not cool. What
Yeah.
y'all have been doing is not cool.
Oh, yeah. It's a
It's
mass
no, it's not
famine
good.
there. It's a genocidal campaign that they're undertaking. And the UAE is one of the most reactionaries of the Arab Gulf regimes, together
I
with
agree.
it's incredible. Yeah. Okay.
Isn't Dubai in the UAE? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my. Okay, so that's that. Now here's another video. This is in Berlin. Look at
Right there.
this.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, and in Germany, there's a lot of repression against demonstrations there. You know, uh, the German regime is so pro-Zionist, they're using their own sort of guilt, uh, Holocaust guilt, in order to justify their support of Israel, when in fact they're just supporting Israel because Israel is waging war on behalf of imperialism. That's all.
That's all that is. Yep,
Yeah.
that's all that is. That's all that is. Yep.
Okay. Here's the American tanker trying to
Whoa,
land.
whoa.
Poof, poof, gone. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I heard that their boys had no way of escaping. They couldn't even have, they didn't have no parachute. Some they couldn't have even got out of there.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, that's a tragedy. The whole thing. I mean, could they have taken a chance of just lost their lives parachuting? Apparently not.
Yeah.
Because that plane was on fire, dude. That plane was burning up.
Yeah. Six crew
I hate to
members
be.
were lost there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Dow Jones going down. This is it. The end of the American economy in graphic detail. It's down to 46,677 when it was at 50,000 a little while ago. So, I mean, if 50,000, was a good thing, then not being 50,000 is a bad thing, isn't it? But then nobody's talking about that. The media doesn't talk about the Dow Jones, decline and collapse even.
The media has shown itself to be a complete vassal to the government. The
Yeah.
media in this country, I think probably in the West, there are a few exceptions,
Yeah.
but in this current time period, the media has shown itself to be a complete vassal to the imperialists and the government. They don't
Yeah.
do nothing. Their whole line is just horrible. It's just really
Yeah.
bad. Nothing good comes out the media these days. They're
But
even calling. There was a There's a case in, I want to share this, but I want to share this too. There's a case in San Francisco where some parents or someone is suing either some teachers or the school district for having Palestinian flags in classes, claiming that is anti-Semitism.
Ah, hmm.
A Palestine flag. So what's an Iranian flag then? Hey, you know what? Let's just start flying Iranian flags.
Yeah.
They'll call that consorting with the enemy.
Yeah. But there's one thing that really worries me is the degree of popular support amongst the Jewish Israelis, for Israel's assault on
Yeah,
Iran.
yeah, it's kind of high. It's kind of high,
Nine-
man.
92% support
It's high, man.
supposedly.
It's high, man. It's high, man.
And then the
It's high.
demonstrations, against the war in Iran that have been taking place there by the Israelis, they're being arrested. All the demonstrators are being taken in, they're all being arrested. They're not
Mhm.
allowing any demonstrations against the war, inside of the Zionist state. Very difficult situation there. I'll see what goes on there, but I mean, they have to break, they have to crack soon, because they're being hit, from two sides, from Hezbollah missiles and from Iran's missiles. Uh, and then, this isn't, the maximum either, when the Ansar Allah in Yemen, decide to shut down the strait to the Red Sea there in the Suez Canal, well, that'll be double trouble for for imperialism and for the United States, uh, and for the whole capitalist world economy. Like would be a goner, and certainly would be stopped. Whether it can recover afterwards is another matter. So there's still a great deal of potential for this war increasing in its magnitude. Here's a clip from our previous recording. It seems, like Substack has this AI that actually listens to our videos and pulls out, like the comments, that are particularly, important. The AI seems to understand what we're saying. Now, I remember the clip of yourself, when you pointed out that you know that we should be looking forward to the defeat of the United States. And that was featured. And you got a few hundred viewers, who paid attention to that. And here's a clip on the Western Crusade mentality exposed.
Oh yeah, the
And
Western
then,
Crusade, man. That's people forget it. People forget about this. That's the basis of all this nonsense from the United States and Europe. The Crusades to bring the hordes under the domination of Catholicism and Christianity, to bring them into humanity, to cut their beards, to have them go to church on Saturday or Sunday, to get in line, to get circumcised. The whole thing. Just the whole thing.
yeah,
It's just if that's what's about in large measure. That's what it's really about. Not that there's more to it than that, but that's a fundamental thing. If you live here, if say you're black or a Mexican or immigrant, well, we'll take you in as part of us, but just remember who's in charge.
mm, hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Trust
Oh
me.
well. Yeah, here's a clip on where I call Trump a czar, and pointing out that the Tsar was brought down because he lost. He lost one war against Japan and was losing another war against Prussia, and so he was brought down by that. Because who voted for the Bolsheviks in the soldiers Soviets? The soldiers. 83% of the soldiers voted in favor of the Bolsheviks. That's how they won the revolution. It's because, the soldiers didn't want to go and fight a war for the Tsar. Simple as that. So, American soldiers are going to wake up as well. They're going to turn their guns
Sure
around.
better. If not, they may be sitting in the grave somewhere because them boys are airplane. No boys that go to the airplane, they didn't expect to be dead, did they? Nope. Refuel, go home, have a beer, watch some basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a
I like the
video.
pictures though, man. These are nice pictures of people around the world protesting. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate seeing that.
Oh
Thank
yeah, I've
you.
got
That's
quite a
good.
collection here. Yeah, I bring it all together in my Facebook page. Facebook is really, you know, supporting the right of expression. It's incredible. Like
Well, let's keep it going because
yeah.
all they have to do is pull a switch and then we ain't got nothing.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
so far, like YouTube has still banned me, banned my channel
Mm.
of 2,700 videos and 10 years of work. But Facebook is good. Facebook is holding on. I read
Well,
that, Mark Zuckerberg was educated by his father never to discriminate against Muslims. This was, a big thing, in the Jewish community at one point, because, a Jewish community knew that, any sort of prejudice against the Muslims will eventually be turned around against the Jews as well. And
it
so
sure will.
the educated Jewish people, they would, oppose, the discrimination against Muslims. And Mark
Good.
Zuckerberg, like, grew up in that atmosphere. Now it's changed, and now there's a polarization in the Jewish community, the young ones are turning anti-Zionist, and the old ones are turning fascist. But here's an example of some Israelis demonstrating together with Palestinians in the West Bank, and you can see, like how they're treated by the military. They're just manhandled like that.
Well,
But
there's
the
also I don't know if you know, there's a movement in San Diego. I heard there's some signage around the military bases there, encouraging U.S. soldiers to not obey illegal orders. So that's
Excellent.
also
That's
going on.
yeah, that's, go and speak to the soldiers as they're going into their bases, like
Yeah,
and recruitment centers, like there should be, picket lines in front of recruitment centers, educating people not to go. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right. We we need to move in that direction. Thank you for that advice. That's
Yeah.
excellent.
I've never seen that, happening, in the United States. So, but that's, where it should go. And then also, there's the war factories, the war production as well that can be taken on. And as I mentioned before, uh, they can be taken down. All that has to be done, to shut down the war factories is to cut off their energy supply, and that can be done fairly easily. And I would advocate that that be done. I saw a video of a German guy saying, that during the Holocaust, all they had to do, was take out, the factory making the Zyklon B, like a poison that was being used in the so-called showers, but it wasn't done. And there weren't any, like protests happening in the world, against the extermination of the Jewish people in Germany and in Europe as a whole. You know, Now there's demonstrations that are holding back the fascists. At that time, there wasn't, and that's why we lost. And most, like three-quarters of the Jewish people in Europe were lost before they could escape, because after a certain time, when the Nazis consolidated their power, they didn't let the Jewish people leave. The genocide there was more of a genocide, actually, than the genocide in Gaza, because the genocide in Gaza had the purpose of expelling the Palestinians. They were supposed to run away. They were supposed to, Egypt was supposed to allow them to go into the Sinai, and they were supposed to leave, the area, and it was supposed to be occupied permanently by the Zionist state. But that didn't happen. Now, in Germany, in the Holocaust, they didn't want the Jewish people to leave. They just wanted to exterminate all the Jewish people. That's why they put them into concentration camps. So that's why a lot of the Jewish people who don't oppose the Zionist state consider that they were so harshly treated at that time that, as far as they were concerned, that the Holocaust and annihilated international law and morality for them. They figured that after the Holocaust, they could do whatever they thought necessary to defend themselves. And they're being told that they're defending themselves by attacking Iran. That's why it's 92%, support, because they've been brought up on this, paranoia, which is basically a post like it's a psychological impairment, a psychological illness, a mass insanity that has taken hold and has been ingrained in the Israeli Jewish population so that they're still supporting this war. But now, after getting hit so much from both sides, they've got to sort of, begin to rethink, what their objective is. And I hope to be able to contribute to that rethinking process and worked for that purpose in order to not only save the Iranians, but also to save the Israelis from the crazy Zionist regime that this state has taken control over. So that's the one thing that's the big problem is this 92% support of the Jewish Israelis for the war there. But on the other hand, we have the Jewish movement here, Jews Against Genocide, which is a strong Israeli movement that was started. It was started by Netta, a friend, who I know. And, they are demonstrating, even though they get arrested, and even though they get harassed, and even though they get attacked, nonetheless, there's still this movement. And the ones who are the most active in the Jews Against Genocide campaign are the Jewish women. They are the strongest. I would compliment that on that way. Here's a demonstration against the war in Tel Aviv and how they're getting treated. The police usually come up to them and try to rip their placards out of their hands in order to stop them from demonstrating. And then the counter demonstrators are trying to counter demonstrators come there to oppose the Jewish Israelis with an American flag, because they think they're Americans. And they are, Israel's just, sort of an external colony of the United States, which, they've been able to convince, to go and fight and die, for the United States of America. It's incredible. But, there's the opposition amongst the Israelis even.
Interesting. These are very recent images,
Yeah.
and we're definitely not seeing in the United States. We're not seeing this at all. Oh no. No, no. So
The
we got
Jewish
to find a way to
opposition
get
is,
these images. We got to get them
yeah,
out. We got
yeah.
to get them out.
I like the one particular banner there. Maybe we can see it again, which is written in Hebrew, Arabic, and English,
Right.
trilingual.
Yeah.
Because they know that they're an internationalist movement against the fascist nationalism of the Zionist state. Okay, what else do I have here? Uh, uh, oh yeah, this is the German guy who said that the Germans should have, taken down the Zyklon B factory, during the Holocaust to stop the Holocaust. And he's saying that this is what should be done at this time. There have been a number of factories that are the war-producing factories in Europe that have been attacked, that have been set ablaze. And then there's the Palestine Action Group in England
Right.
that
Right.
took out, the British airplanes, that were being used, to attack as well. And they were imprisoned. They went on a hunger strike, and then they won. And they were released, and they won their case in court. But they're still being harassed. There's still
They
sort of,
sure are.
sort of a law that, it's just saying that they support, Palestine Action can get them arrested and imprisoned. So that's
They
very
sure are
important.
being harassed. I mean, currently in the U.S., there's no equivalent harassment. It's going to happen eventually,
Yeah.
or it's being done secretly. But yeah, that Palestine action has really been targeted by the British government in a very serious way.
Yeah. Oh, there was a hit on the Tel Aviv airport here. I haven't heard this reported, so I can't confirm it. Like I can't say for sure that this is not an AI video, but it seems real. Seems real to me. But
But how
the
would you create an AI video? I mean, you got to be really have some. You have to have some high tech stuff doing an AI video like this, wouldn't you? I mean, more than you can buy off the shelf. You should buy an explosion and attack. But
yeah,
Israel though doesn't. Israel censors its. Don't they also fine people or threaten with arrest if they share the images?
yeah,
Like,
oh,
you know,
yeah. If you diffuse images of the damage done by the Iranian missiles inside of Israel, you can be, I'm told that you can be subjected to 5 years imprisonment
right,
for
right. So some
that.
stuff isn't coming out because of that. People
Yeah.
just fear. You know, and fear will. I mean, some people will walk through the fear and find a way to get it. But for those who aren't going to do that, you know, who say, "Well, I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to go to jail," you know, that kind of thing. Mm.
Here's a very sympathetic podcast here that I shared on Facebook as well. And here's a report. Uh,
Yeah, I think that gentleman has a pretty. He has a very balanced view of things. He tried not to go he tried not to be as partisan as let's say you and I are, but
mhm.
I do think his show is helpful. I do. People can come on there and express their views, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I really commend him for being on the air as long as he has been on the air, not being censored or attacked, and allowing other viewpoints to be heard. I want to tell him thank you very much. He's doing a good job
Wow, here's in Vermont, but Vermont is where Bernie Sanders is the senator. How can they get away with this in Vermont?
because he's part of the United States. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Wow.
can be senator, but when it comes to police attacking pro-Palestinian demonstrators, he could be in California. He could be in Hawaii. You know, I mean, in some cities, there may be a little reluctance to attack you, but it might not last too long. Yeah. Yeah. It's quite violent. These things are quite violent.
Yeah, just like in Israel. Yeah. So it's the right to demonstrate is being attacked here. ICE is gonna be used for that.
Right, the right to demonstrate. Yep, yep, and
ICE
also
is
the right to vote will soon be attacked. Also,
yeah. ICE is a very is a even more dangerous phenomenon because it's something that's going international. You know, there's an ICE office here in Montreal on Sherbrooke Street. What are they doing here? You know, they're recruiting people to set up a fascist militia
why
here
why are
in
there
Quebec,
nights
Canada.
in Canada?
So
I
they
mean,
want to set up an international fascist movement. You know, that's what they're.
how are they besides being attached to the embassy? Okay, besides having an office in the embassy, which they probably can have.
No,
Okay,
not in the embassy. This is on the street, you know, on
oh no
Sherbrooke
no no
Street. You know,
oh
like
no 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 no
you know.
no no.
It's
They got
incredible.
to
So I spoke to
oh
Alex
yeah.
Norris of the Projet Montréal on the city council last night. He was at the meeting with Avi Lewis. And Alex Norris, you know, I said, you know, like, how can you let them, you know, do this, you know, come into Canada, into Quebec, into Montreal to recruit, you know, fascists to set up, you know, a nice movement here in our country? And he said, "Oh, yeah, like," and he sort of, you know, wavered, and he said, "Well, what can we?" And I said, "You know, like you can expel them. You know, you just get your lawyers to go after them. You know, to point out that
How are
they're
they? I mean, who
Charter
allowed them in the
freedoms.
country?
You know, like, and they should be expelled. You know, because they have no right to be here."
They have no right to set an office in Canada. No, they
Yeah.
don't. No.
Yeah.
No way. No.
Yeah.
None of this. No ice. Oh, absolutely not. Wait a minute. Absolutely not.
Yeah. And
No.
and and I can advise people here in Montreal, you know, where this office is located. It's on 1134 St. Catherine West. Oh, not on Sherbrooke Street, on St. Catherine West, 1134. And their telephone number is 514-398-9695 if you want to tell them what you have to say. But I don't know. I wouldn't advise, you know, calling them up because they'll have a record of your telephone number, then they'll
They
track you down.
sure will. Yeah. Yeah. I
So if
wouldn't
you
call
used
me.
a telephone booth, you know, like that would work though. if there's any telephone booths still around, But anyway,
They're around here. They're around here. He, he, here and there. There are still some around.
so
Yes.
those are the ones to use for sure. Okay. Now, what is this now? Half of registered voters, 53% oppose U.S. military. Oh, uh-huh. Yeah, these are the polls. Okay, a solid, opposition of 53%, but 40% support it. 1 in 10 are uncertain. Okay. Yeah. All of the polls indicate that. So that 53%, just has to be mobilized. That's what's lacking. Okay, IDF cuts camera feeds to conceal extent of the damage. Oh, yes. They're trying to cover up how much damage. They're taking down their surveillance cameras. Oh, it's it's too insane, to believe, could be real. Here's Natura Carta, very active, growing, very important. Yeah,
Good. Good.
yeah,
That's very important. Good.
yeah. They were invited to Iran one time during the regime of
Yeah.
Ahmadinejad
You
by
know, you
criticism.
know, that's the one thing I think that I don't, people reached out to other countries over the last 30, 40 years. I think activists have made a mistake to not have reached out to Iran, um, to establish relationships, organization to organ,
Yeah,
organization to government. I know it's hard because of the sanctions, and I know it's dangerous. It's probably dangerous to do it, but you know, we need to
but
do that.
uh, but the Iranian revolution are seriously a revolution. When
I
they're
know,
talking about jihad, what they mean is an international revolution against imperialism.
I
That's
know.
in practice. Okay, so they're discriminatory against local minorities and women. But the new president, like when he came to be elected, just said, "Oh, just ignore that law about uh, having to wear a hijab. We're not going to be arresting anybody anymore about that." So, I mean, Tehran,
That's
he
that's a
learns,
good move.
yeah, Iran has learned, like how to be more revolutionary, not less revolutionary and more repressive. So, and when they talk about, uh, jihad, they mean international revolution against imperialism. And they're doing it. They're doing it, with the International Revolutionary Guard in so many countries already. So that's a very interesting phenomenon of how they define, jihad, because they're not defining jihad as the annihilation of all the infidels, which is what, Christian evangelicals, claim. No, they're against imperialism. That's first and foremost, and they want, everyone to agree to be in solidarity with their fight against imperialism. They don't have to become Muslims. They just have to oppose, war. That's it. It's very simple. This is a very good, instance. The conductor of the Israel Symphony Orchestra has come out publicly at a performance against the war, and he got support in doing so. Very interesting phenomena. It's starting to crack
Wow,
up.
wow,
Yeah,
that's that's amazing. That's really amazing.
yeah. Here's a rabbi putting down the war. Here's another thing. An expose of, oh yeah, this is funny. When the Republicans were anti-war, they were claiming to be anti-war in order to get elected. Oh, I've got to give you the sound on this as well. No, this is just too much of an expose. Where's the sound? Here it is. Oh, my sound's not working. Anyway, it carries the burden. We're going to stop. stop the wars in faraway lands. We need to use our young people here at home. But if you're worried about the world that's spinning out of control, if you're about the military draft, you're worried about, God forbid, a world war, the best way to prevent it is to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Oh,
there is a leftist group in the United States that went for that nonsense. A leftist group led by what's his brother's name? Oh my God. I can't think of his name. They call themselves um innovationists.
uh,
And we support Donald Trump's peace initiatives. I'm gonna say you got to be an idiot. Are you out of your are you out of your freaking mind? Have you just lost it?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
really.
We support his initiatives for peace.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
and you say you're an anti-imperialist?
Yeah,
How is
huh,
that possible?
yeah.
You're an anti-imperialist and you're for the I just it's just
Yeah, this video should just be played, to all the evangelicals, and tell them, like, do you understand now what's going on? Like this is a proof positive, that this is insane regime. Okay, that's enough,
all right. We're
Now
good.
we're good.
We're good for
My,
today.
okay. Good to speak with you again, Steve.
Okay, I want everybody please share, like, spread the word, and be organizing. Okay,
Yeah,
please do everybody. We need you to be out there. If we're now on the streets, then be on the telephone or on the internet talking to people at school, at your job.
yeah.
Do what you can do to build this.
This is so big, like people. This is the biggest thing that's going to be happening in your whole life. So, like do something about it.
Right? That's it. All right. Take care.